Welcome in, everybody, to a Tuesday night edition of the show. I am Joe Quills, and welcome to another edition of the show.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Connor, please. But anyways, that came up in a chat. They were saying that you know hockey jerseys they buy. I said I couldn't buy any of them because I'd be saying whenever I'd be looking at the jersey number and the name, I'd be like,
Who the fuck is that guy?
but anyways, welcome in, and I hope everybody's having a great night out there. Beautiful day here in Philadelphia. A little weird because the trees across the street are bright orange because they're ready to drop from the trees. I don't know what it is, but in this neighborhood I'm at, the trees are directly across the street from me. I don't know what trees they are, nor do I care. They're always the first ones to show color. They're the first one to lose everything. So, and I think it's supposed to get real windy tomorrow, but um, so I think that maybe we'll see some trees falling from those leaves. So I did get a picture of that today. So, but a little nerd talk with you here. So, um, but we're having fun here on this Tuesday night here. Not as many stories as tonight, as you can tell. Also, I am going to veer away from the sports world for a little bit. Well, I'll throw a little sports in there, like some thoughts with sports with everything, but and I need to get rid of this banner here because I'm a dope. Uh, give you some thoughts as well in regards to that. So, but we'll probably be a shorter show tonight, and thankfully because the Bleacher Brothers Sports Network is not live as of yet, but it will be soon. So I will let you know when to download it. Um, because, like I believe, everything will be done. Um, you know, you know, just just so that if you're unable to watch live, you can still listen live. And if you don't listen live, you got the audio podcast that you can listen to, which is coming back tonight because I was at a friend's house on Sunday. He goes, "What happened to your audio podcast?" I'm like, "Well, I rebranded. That's one. So you have to resubscribe the way that I did it because I could have just changed the name. But no, I'm going to go to the totally new route." But not only did I do that, I didn't post anything really about it too much, not that heavily, but starting tonight, I will be doing it every night. But I have to figure out the echo that I was getting on Monday's show. So the Monday show will not be uploaded this week. Um, if I can't figure out the echo, then we might have to just do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for the audios. You know, but it's just a temporary thing. Once we get Mike his computer, and I said I would foot the bill for that. We'll do that. So, but whatever we do here, it's all in good fun, and hopefully, you guys can uh, sit back and relax. Occasionally, give me a little critique here and there, and feel free to chime in the chat. I'll float your comment in if it's worthy enough, which 99% of the time it is. Um, Maybe we'll have that troll um, on YouTube again tonight. Um, Now, I'm not telling them to switch accounts to become the name that he was. I forget what it was last night, but you know, the one thing is, I'm not gonna joke around. I mean, I'm not going to totally just go pineapple on them and get rid of them. But I'll have some fun with them because I could be a troll too. Those that troll me get trolled back a little bit. We have a little fun with it. So, hey, it's what it is. It's just about talking sports, but also entertaining as well. So we'll get to that here. So, um, and we the NBA opened up tonight. We had the first game of the season, the Knicks and the Celtics. Celtics raised banner 62 or whatever the number is. But whatever that number is, the Knicks opened up at TD Garden, and Boston is beating the crap out of the Knicks, 113 to 87 right now. My TV's a little bit behind some people, so it probably is like 150 to 30 right now, but you get the idea. So, but the NBA's back. Uh, Tell me when the playoffs are going to be coming soon because, between football, between everything else, it's like I don't really watch many games. And I know the Sixers, um, a lot of people have high hopes for the Sixers. I don't really have that high hopes because I think it's going to be um, for the Sixers at least. And yeah, I didn't preview all 30 teams. I didn't read up on it, but um, Paul George is going to be out tomorrow night. Uh, Joel Embiid's going to be out because they're ramping him up for the regular season. So, you got guys that are hurt. Uh, George hyperextended his knee. Um, Joel Embiid is on the rag or something. I don't know. I don't know what he did, but I think they're just playing it safe with him. So whatever it is, you know, the Sixers are not going to have their best roster out there for opening night tomorrow night down at the WTF Center. I mean the Wells Fargo Center. So, but tonight was also the hockey frenzy or whatever the hell they were calling it, where all 32 teams played tonight, and they were kind of doing an NFL red zone type thing as well with it. So I think they staggered the games where the first game was 6 o'clock. And by the way, thank you NHL for making the Flyers a 6 o'clock game. And I think the last game is at 11. The last game that starts is at 11 o'clock. And that's probably Vegas. So, but like for example, I turned on the TV and Seattle was starting at 8:45 our time, so my time, which is the Eastern time zone. So, it's like Seattle already had a 4:30 game, a 5:30 game, or 4:30 game, and 8:30 game. So it's like, huh. but but the one thing I question is, you know, I mean, could well we know MLB does it. They play every team plays basically every day. Do you want to do something? I mean, do you want to do something like that with the NBA where you have a special day? I don't know, maybe some sort of a holiday. I mean, you don't do it on Christmas because God forbid, you got five teams playing, but that's probably the closest thing that you'll get to everybody playing something like that. But but with the NHL, why are you doing it on Tuesday? Now, I understand why because you can't do it on a Sunday because you're going against the NFL this time of the year. And Saturdays, you got the college football here in the United States. Now, granted, you can do, you can have it where um, maybe you can have all 6 or 7 Canadian teams play at home, so there's more interest. But even so, with that, you still have 9 games in the United States, and even though you'll probably still have great attendance at the arenas, it's just you may not get what you want long term. So, but I guess maybe it was a plan just to say, hey, NBA starting tonight. Let's see if we can get some people over to us here because you get to see all 16 games at once. You'll have games starting pretty much every 15 minutes. I don't know, but yeah, I'm thinking about right before the games, right before this start. I'm like, oh yeah, they did do that. So, um, but yeah, but it is an interesting thing if the NHL does, and only day it's the only day out of the year that the NHL has all 32 teams playing on the same day. And Mike says it's a good idea for hockey, but not for basketball. Yeah. Um, Now the only thing is, if you did it on a Saturday or Sunday, maybe you do it wrapped around a outdoor game, let's say. Not necessarily the Winter Classic, which is on New Year's Day, but maybe you do it on a Saturday, like maybe the Saturday before the AFC and NFC Championship game, or the Saturday during that bye week between that week off between the Super Bowl and the Super Bowl and the conference championship games. If you do that on a Saturday, maybe you start at like 1 o'clock, have the outdoor game at like 4:30, and you have all the games. You have a bunch of games grouped at 1:32, and then you get everybody to that outdoor game, and then you have a couple more games. I don't know. It's just something that maybe we can do it for a whole day as opposed to a 6 hour period because of a 5 hour period of when you would start the games, because of the fact that um, you do have time restrictions in place, because you know you you kind of don't want to start earlier than 6 o'clock on uh, a Tuesday, because people work. They got to get to the stadiums. Some people are already trying to get out of work early or plain sick. But it does happen that some people get lucky, they can get out of work early. Some are already done work early enough, and some are screwed. Uh, but I'd rather see it on a Saturday, like right after, um, in that area where the NFL is not playing on a Saturday because of the playoffs. But that's just me. Um, but I understand why. I guess it's because they want to go head to head with with the NBA, not the WNBA, but the NBA, where everybody could um, watch probably have about 8 or 9 games going at once right now. So, but the Flyers lost, so not a shocker there. And they are a year or two away from being a year or two away for the most part. So, but anyways, a lot of Tampa news today, um, and I got that mocking the Gen Z there as well. Um, and I am taking the um, the comment to the comment Jason Beam had about his podcast, uh, that he says numerous times on his show in the 8 9 years he's done his show. If the He says that if his podcast is 51% horse racing, then it's a horse racing podcast. In this case, if it's 50.001% sports, then it's a sports episode. It's a sports stream. It's a sports podcast. So get off my back when we get to that next part here. but um, but anyways, MLB said today. Well, it was posted today on the Bleacher Brothers site as well as ESPN that Major League Baseball is hoping to find the Tampa Bay Rays a temporary home near their fan base, uh, for at least the start of the 2025 season if the damage to Tropicana Field from Hurricane Milton cannot be repaired in time. So we know, I mean, I think we can pretty much say it's not going to be fixed in time. I think, I mean, the one good thing is if you use that, if you take that to heart, where they're hoping to find a temporary home near the fan base. The good news is you do have a spring training hub in the Tampa Bay area. You got the Yankees at Tampa. You have the Phillies at Clearwater. You have Pittsburgh and Bradenton. Um, you have Detroit and Lakeland. Even though they don't necessarily mention some of those team names, but that, that there's basically a hub of teams that uh, right in that Tampa Bay area. So you do have that option, and you know if if it happens that they do use a Florida State League facility and a spring training facility, well, it'll seem like a full house at Tampa Bay because they don't draw. Now, granted, you got a old you got an old stadium, and it's hard to get in and out of there from what I've heard. So you have all these things going on. No wonder why they don't draw fans. And you know, and it's a shame because they've had some damn good teams over the years. And how ironic is it? The last time they got to the World Series in 2020, there were zero fans in the stands. So, um, but but they're going to have to do something, and at least they're trying to do something about it right away. And I think they're going to have to figure out what they're going to do. Now, you already got one team playing in a minor league stadium, and that's the Oakland, Sacramento, Las Vegas Athletics, Salt Lake City, Bumblefuck Egypt, wherever. But but the one thing is, the way that minor league baseball schedules are made for the most part, you usually play a 6 game series from Tuesday to Sunday. Now, the road team will have to pay for lodging and stuff like that, but you don't have to travel every third day to another stadium or another city. So, but the good thing is now, if you look at the athletic schedule for 2025, it's pretty much 1 week at home, 1 week on the road, 1 week at home, 1 week on the road, because they're sharing with the Sacramento team, which I think is the Giants AAA team, if I'm not mistaken. And the way that they do the scheduling in minor league baseball is one on, one off, and you know they try to keep it where the for the most part you'll have a team playing there 6 days in a row. And I mean, it makes sense. It's budget cuts type of thing, but it's something that's worked for minor league baseball since they reorganized everything back in 2020. So, but now with the fact that Tampa Bay's schedule doesn't conform with minor league baseball, if you're playing in a couple of different stadiums in that Tampa Bay area, then you're going to have to play maybe Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the Yankees minor league place in Tampa, and then Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday you may have to play at Clearwater because the Phillies were on the road, or you may have to go to Port Charlotte where their minor league facility is 80 miles away. That's an option for them. Or one option that they do give is they could end up going to Sarasota, which isn't far from them. But the reason why they would go to Sarasota is because the Orioles facility does not have a minor league baseball team. So they would be able to use that stadium for all the games and not have to worry about um, not have to worry about having to go to another minor league stadium for a 3 game series because we got to vacate because this minor league team has the rights to the stadium, or the and I doubt you would play a 1 o'clock game for the single A team, and then you get the triple A team. Then you get the Tampa Bay Rays playing at night. Um, but you got all kinds of things that they're working on now, and thankfully they are working on it now because think about it. Would you rather resolve this in December and have to scrap the plans in February, or have nothing in place until February, kind of like what Oakland did with their move? Because it's like, well, all right, we want to go to Vegas, yeah, but you don't have a stadium there for 3 years, so where are you going to play? So they had no clue, um, but um, Rob Manfred, the hated commissioner of Major League Baseball. Well, most baseball fans hate him. Um, but But he said the translucent fiberglass dome at the ballpark in St. Petersburg um, was shredded by Milton's winds. Um, a number of spring training sites around the Tampa Bay area have been suggested as temporary homes, and the league wants a location in the region if possible. Now, if if possible becomes a must, then Sarasota may come into play here. Now, um, you may have to scrub uh, the the fact that they would draw 15 to 20,000 and play in a minor league ballpark that would seat about 8 or 9. You know, you gotta weigh all the options here. So they're looking into the options now, and thankfully they still have 4 months to or 5 months to get it done. Um, Manfred said on the Varsity podcast, "We're hopeful that we can figure out something in the area for them, and the repairs can be done in a way that allows them to resume playing. The easiest thing is always to stay in the market where the clubs are anchored if we can manage it, and that's the key if they can manage it. But um, you know, you could take a hit on the attendance, and also it's got to be approved by the Major League Baseball Players Association. So you can't just say, "Oh, we're going to Sarasota." Well, what about actual major league facilities? What about you know batting cages and the clubhouse situations and everything? Because there's so much more than um, just getting on the field. So, and even with minor league ball, the there's specific guidelines to clubhouses and stuff like that. So you got to have a certain size clubhouse and everything else. You got to have all these amenities for the players. So you might have some issues where you may say, well, we can't go to Bradenton, we can't go to Lakeland, we can't go here, we can't go there. We can go to Clearwater because that's a fairly new minor league stadium. We can go to Steinbrenner Field because that's fairly new, even though it's been around for 15 years or so, maybe 20. But you get to the point where you have to find a spot that not only will be in the area, but it's also got to be MLBPA approved because even though they're playing a game, these are working conditions for them. And I'm sure that if they went to Sarasota, for example, you would need to spruce up everything. You got to get additional lighting because if you remember from when Toronto played in Buffalo, when they had the COVID restrictions in Canada and nobody could get across the border, they had to um, they had to add extra lighting to make it Major League Baseball uh, quality. So so you did have that. Now um, now the Rays have played at Tropicana Field since 1998, but the building was constructed in 1990. Now Mike might remember this, he might not, but the first actual professional sports team of the Big Four, the four major sports, because I'm sure I would say something like this and they'll say, no, Joe, this team played there first. And I'm like, but yeah, they're not one of the four major sports there. So even though I'm right, you may be right, but I'm right too. So, I'm not getting in that pissing match because, then you end up with a golden shower. But, but, and I and there was a year where the Flyers played the Tampa Bay Rays, the Tampa Bay Lightning, and Tropicana Field. Then, because the Tampa Bay Lightning, before their arena was built, played at that stadium, and it was called the Thunderdome. And I believe that the they had at one point the highest attendance. It may even be the case here where they had the highest attendance for a playoff game. and Mike is stroking my ego. That's right. Um, so yeah, I think the Flyers in Tampa Bay, I think they had a playoff game where they had, I believe, 28,000 fans because they perfectly situated it on the third base line, even though they weren't really playing baseball then. They had it set up because they were trying to lure the Chicago White Sox to Tampa in the early 90s, but they didn't get them. So they did have that, and they did have 28,000, and it was a quirky setup, but it fit their needs for the couple of years until the Tampa Bay Times Forum or whatever name it was back then, or what name it is now. They moved into their new arena, which is their current arena. So, and they did play at the Trop for a couple of years when it was the Thunderdome, obviously because it's a cute name for the arena with everything. I don't even know what the original name for the Tropicana Field was, uh, baseball wise, but and I'm sure and I'm sure if SJ was here, she would also tell me that the that UConn won a national championship there at Tropicana Field. I bet if she's watching right now, she'd be like, "Damn, he remembers that." But like I've said to Mike. Well, Mike knows this already, but like I tell many people, I'm a sponge of useless information. I can't remember the three things that I have on my shopping list in my head, but goddamn, I can tell you that the Lightning played at Tropicana Field when it was known as the Thunderdome. I can tell you all this different stuff, but I cannot remember that I need soda. Don't need. I need creamer. I need those grease wipes I told Mike that I needed for my stovetop. I got all three, okay? But play along. But you know, but the way Target is, the way Walmart is, the way uh, the Jason Bourne of sports. Well, now you're going to make me create new sound drops of Matt Damon, which reminds me, uh, I have to go to a fast food place or anywhere where instead of asking you for the number, unless they tell you the number, I tell them that my name is Matt Damon, just so that they start acting like Matt Damon in um, Team America World Police, where all of a sudden you hear Matt Damon going, Matt Damon. I'm like, oh shit, that's me. Kind of like these videos where the guy orders something and he gives him a vile name. Um, you know, like well, uh, like he goes, "What's your name?" Finn Germayass, and the person has his shake or whatever. I got an order for finger my ass, something like that. But I haven't seen that pop up on my timeline recently. But if it did, I'll probably share it on my Instagram stories, which goes to my Facebook stories, and go from there. So, but yeah, I am a fountain of useless information. Not quite Rain Man. I won't tell you to fly Qantas. I will tell you that Kmart sucked. Um, Kisses are wet. Um, but I won't stop in the middle of the intersection because the crossing light goes red on me. But because I was trained to cross the street the Philly way, any which way possible. You know, who gives a shit? Just walk out in the middle of the street. Hope to God Mike doesn't hit me. Things like that. But but um, so now, but the quirks that are in this because of the stadium and everything else is the fact that the city of St. Petersburg and Pinellas County approved a new $1.3 billion ballpark in an adjacent location that would open in the 2028 season, and is part of a much larger downtown revitalization project. Now, there is speculation, and this may come up in a couple of months. They may end up just saying, "Fuck it, we ain't doing this thing here." Now the one option that they do have is playing without the roof, but they don't have the drainage system in place because of the fact that it was built for an indoor stadium. So you're probably going to have to put all this drainage in, which probably take a season probably to do. So you got that problem, and you're in a very high rain. You're in a rain prone area. So and if you ever watch racing at Gulfstream Park, even though that's on the Miami side of the state, or you watch Tampa Bay down, well, not really Tampa Bay Downs because they don't really get much rain. They haven't gotten much rain the last couple of years, but um, when the spring comes around, it'll rain for like an hour and then it'll stop, and then it'll rain again for another hour and it'll stop, and then you'll have a hurricane in August and September. Then you got to get the hell out of the state, but you get the idea. So, but um, so they are looking for ways to move forward with this, and they're expecting the analysis. The city council is expecting the analysis to be done by the first week of November to see how they would go forward with this. Um, the team has filed uh, a claim with its insurance carrier, so everything that you do to dot the i's and cross the t's there, they are doing that, and it hasn't been done already. But you know, they it's some of the extra work that you do now, especially since the season is ending next week with the World Series. And I mean, it kind of sucks that Game 7 would have been last night, Monday night, but they don't play again till Friday. So I mean, I would have thought Thursday, but I guess they don't want to go up against the NFL on Amazon. But then again, you do have Minnesota and LA, and they're trading guys apparently. But some of the suggestions for the Rays included local spring training sites used by the Phillies, which is in Clearwater, the Blue Jays in Dunedin. Blue Jays actually played in Dunedin a couple years ago. The Yankees, the Pirates, and the Tigers. So those are the five that I mentioned, man. I read the article, but I was like, I was just spitballing there, but those are the five. Phillies are in Clearwater, Blue Jays are in Dunedin, Yankees are in Tampa, Pirates are in Bradenton, and the Tigers are in Lakeland. Don't ask me to repeat that, or don't ask me where they are again because I probably just lost it out of my brain for the next 6 months. But but uh, the Rays spring training complex in Port Charlotte is in play. That's 85 miles south of them. Another option is the Disney ESPN Wide World of Sports complex near Orlando. Um, there is a team that plays there, but I don't know who. I think most of the ballpark options host minor league games after spring training ends. So you may be able. It's like the first week you'll be able to get away with it because Tampa Bay does open up at home this year. Um, Let me pull that up here because they open up against Colorado. Um, Let me find it here. Um, Now they open up with 3 games against Colorado: Thursday the 27th, Saturday the 29th, and Sunday the 30th. Then they play the Pirates for the 31st, first and second, and then they go on the road starting the fourth. So, but the minor league season would not begin until, uh, at least for single A ball, would not be until the third or the fourth. So they would be able to play any of those sites that that were offered, whether it's Tampa, Dunedin, Clearwater. It's just that once you get into the Florida State League season, then you got to look and see, well, what team will allow us to play the week that their team isn't there? And then you might have a situation where you may have to go from you may have to play one series in Dunedin and another series in Clearwater. And I only mention that because those two stadiums are only about 5-6 miles apart. That's why the Phillies and the Blue Jays play each other 18 times in the Grapefruit League. So um, now, and I did say that the Orioles spring training facility in Sarasota does not have a minor league team, so that is a option that they can play there nonstop, especially with the way that the season is. So that's probably the favorite, the morning line favorite for where Tampa Bay could play if the roof isn't ready, and it's not going to be ready. Come on, we can get our hopes up. You know, Ron DeSantis could wish it upon the whole state to do that in about 3 weeks. It's not happening. I mean, look at I-95 here on Cottman Avenue when that collapsed. They got it back up within 2 weeks, but it was just temporary shit. It took a year to complete totally, but um, um, now between the logistics and travel, it might be difficult to move difficult for Tampa. Yeah, and also you got to remember they're trying to do what's best for the Tampa Bay Rays players because the players they live down there most of the year. I mean, I'm sure their kids go to school there and everything. So obviously, you want to make sure they're as close to home as possible because even though a lot of them are young players and probably haven't figured out how to procreate yet, they are part of the Gen Z thing, and I'll get into the Gen Z in a moment. Um, you do have some older players that obviously are going to have a couple of kids, are going to have a couple of girlfriends and a wife. Oh, a couple of girlfriends. Wait, what was that? Huh? Huh? Anyways, but seriously, um, you know, you do. It's more than just finding a place for them to play. You got to look at, well, how do we keep the family? Because a lot of these players, especially if they're veteran players, they a lot of these families are used to daddy being on the road for a week to 10 days because daddy plays for the Tampa Bay Rays or he plays for the New York Yankees or he plays for the Phillies or he plays for the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, which is the AAA team. But um but that I mean Sarasota sounds like the best option right now, but it could be anywhere that they end up. And we'll see. But um now there's talk of the Rays sharing the Marlins Stadium, but the problem is, you know, what, you know, how are you going to do this when you have both teams scheduled to be at home? Now the one thing you could do, especially if it's a team that you haven't played yet and isn't too much of a hassle with the schedule and travel, do what the NFL used to do when, like, let's say, like when the Eagles were playing in October and the Phillies were in the playoffs, they would either well, now the thing to do is you just move it to the next day if you're the NFL, or you get lucky with the Phillies and you have the Eagles playing at 1 and then the LCS or um, LCS or World Series game is at 8. So, especially in Philadelphia because you have the Wells Fargo Center here, you um, got the link here. You got the link here. So you got three stadiums within a quarter of a mile of each other, and they share the same parking system and everything. So, parking is really tight when you have an Eagles game. So imagine Eagles and Phillies at the same time, which is something you definitely don't want to do because it's a nightmare scenario. And there was a Phillies playoff game that also had a soccer match across the street with two European clubs, which will or was it Team Mexico? But whatever it was, you had a full house at the link and then the Phillies playoff game. So imagine the craziness with that. But there's so many factors that I'm sure that not even I'm thinking about that Major League Baseball has to look into, and that's why it's a group thing with the teams and the Players Association because it's about MLB quality locker rooms, the amenities, the you know um, now that might work for the Marlins in Tampa. The attendance for both teams are horrible. Yeah, um, you know, and I think the Marlins do have an artificial turf field, so it isn't like you're going to totally tear up the outfield with two games a day. Um, you will have, but the thing is, you're going to have days where you're going to have two. You're going to have days on the schedule where Tampa Bay's supposed to be at home and the Marlins supposed to be home. Well, obviously, the Marlins would have the choice of the better time slot for them, whether it be because it's a getaway day or anything else. But I don't know how that will work. But I'm sure MLB's already 10 steps beyond what we're looking at right now. Now, another option that was thrown out there by people. Um, that's this other story there. Now, another option that they mentioned was Montreal. Um, but that but Olympic Stadium is not available this year. The stadium is undergoing renovations and will not be ready for this year. So Montreal is not in play this year. And also, if you remember a couple years ago, they were floating around the idea of Tampa Bay playing in half the season in Tampa and half the season in Montreal. And um, I think I flew the idea of Montreal among the first people that did, but I mean I don't see them doing that, but I imagine what they're doing is they're doing renovations because remember Rob Manfred wants to expand before he retires, and in a way Montreal probably wants baseball back. Um, you know, I think that it was a situation where they didn't want to play at Olympic Stadium. They wanted a new stadium. The Canadian government said, "Yeah," even though that's an American thing. So you got all different things that there's all these options. It's just that the two options that make the most sense are very hard to almost impossible because you can't play Montreal this year. Now, when those renovations are going to be done by, I don't know. But also remember, there's always a possibility that Tampa Bay could say, this stadium's not salvageable. We need somewhere to play for 3 years. Now, maybe they get lucky, they get to go to Montreal for 2 years. Now, granted, actually, as a car goes by there, um, yeah, I know it would look better if you had the baseboard there, but I'm using a background tonight. Um, but actually, it may actually help that Tampa Bay, in terms of the AL East, the AL East would essentially be, for the most part, the AL Northeast because if Tampa Bay had to move for 2 seasons to Montreal for 26 and 27, let's say, then everybody is. right there in the Northeast because you would have Montreal, you would have Toronto, you would have Boston, you would have the Yankees in the Bronx, and the furthest south would be Baltimore. So if you have a road trip where you're going from New York to Tampa, well, guess what? It's now New York to Montreal, which is a lot easier to fly into, I would imagine, except having to go through customs. And I've never gone through customs, so I wouldn't know because, I'm not a person that wants to fly outside the United States if I can't help it. But you get the idea. The Montreal plane may work for 26 if that stadium's ready and Tampa Bay says we can't go here. We need somewhere else to play. Now, I doubt you I doubt you play. I mean, one option that just came to me because Montreal did this numerous times, and somehow the Phillies. Mike says my thoughts are interesting. I have to pay him off for that. Uh, but seriously, I mean, another option may be Puerto Rico because you remember all those years that Montreal played in Puerto Rico, yet the Phillies never played in Puerto Rico in San Juan against the Expos. Um, but there are options, but Montreal's the best option in terms of getting from AL East team to AL East team if you got three of them back to back on a road trip. But the problem is Montreal's unavailable for 25. So who knows? But something has to be done. They are looking through everything right now. Um, um, Now Rob Manfred did say the one thing I can tell you for sure they are playing next year. We're going to find them someplace to do it. Now, whether it's Tampa, whether it's Clearwater, whether it's Sarasota, we'll find out. So that's the case with that right now. And since I've rambled about almost an hour with sports tonight, I can actually go off topic here for a little bit and talk about Gen Z. But I will incorporate it with sports with some of the thoughts that I have with certain things. So Mike knows how my setup is last night because I had the laptop underneath the monitor here, so I could see if somebody comments or trolls me or anything like that. So I may not see the EV Mux portion of it, but I will see people chatting um, at least on the Twitch side. So if you chime in on the YouTube side, I will get to you. I will see it eventually. Um, so so I do want to mention this. I saw this yesterday, and um, the one thing you're going to say is, really, Joe? Now I have the AOL app, but the reason why I still have AOL is because I have my old Verizon.net email. And when I canceled my phone and internet service when I moved, they said, well, you can keep your email. I said, yeah, I'll keep it. Yeah, okay, no problem. So I got to keep the email. It was just that they didn't, I got rid of the phone. I got rid of the internet because I was moving into an apartment that did not have Verizon services. Now, I was told when I moved in that they would eventually get it, but they never did. And yeah, I mean, I could have said a couple of years ago when they really showed that they were in bed with Comcast, like, well, we had a verbal understanding here, and you're not following your end of the bargain here. But yeah, I didn't do it because where the fuck am I going to go? You know, and also, I mean, my for my area of Philadelphia, my rent is probably $200 less than other bigger apartment complexes. Because I have looked, I'm not gonna lie, not gonna lie, I have looked at other places, but it was like, well, do they have FiOS? I'm looking because I love the FiOS internet, and also with the fact that they have gigabit speed. I think in some areas you got 2 gigabit speeds. Shit, I would have no problem uploading and downloading shit all the time. You know, because with Xfinity, you may get a little bit more than Verizon with gigabit because you get actually 1.2 gigabits, I think, on Comcast, but I'm sorry, Xfinity, because they rebranded because they knew Comcast was the equivalent of see you next Tuesday. Um, you know, with Xfinity, you get the download speed, but the upload speed, we're going to throttle that to no more than 40. So you see why I would love to get Verizon FiOS, but I can't with this building. But I don't really want to move because I'm in a part of the building that 99% of the time is very quiet, except for when the neighbor across the hall gets home and they're slamming the doors 18 times. But that's part of apartment life, and I understand that. I'm not going to go after them, you know, unless well, if I was a drinker, I would, but I haven't had a drink in 7 years. It's not anything for alcoholism or anything like that. It wasn't having to go to AA. It was just a personal thing. And I never drank that much anyway, but you get the idea. So, but I saw this article on AOL. It came up on my phone. I was like, oh, something to read while I'm working. And it is 14 reasons why bosses are quickly firing Gen Zers. I'm Gen X. Well, they're going to start firing us because we're too fucking old. But, anyways, 14 reasons why bosses are quickly firing Gen Z hires. Um, Now, what's to become of Gen Z? Bad news for recent college graduates. Your bosses aren't fans. A survey found that 6 in 10 bosses have given Gen Z employees the boot this year, and 1 in 6 companies are now hesitant to hire them. So, why are bosses so unimpressed with the latest generation of the workforce? As you might expect, just like that relationship status on Facebook, it's complicated. Number one, they lack initiative. Yeah, okay, I can get that. Um, as you might expect from a generation that grew up during a pandemic. Well, they did grow up before the pandemic too, but um, many employers are finding that some Zoomers aren't prioritizing work. True. Um, maybe this is a little unfair as I throw a sports reference in there. Kyler Murray is known to be a Call of Duty player, and I joked around that last night after the Eagles game. I was watching a stream. I said, "Oh, Kyler Murray won the game. I guess he hasn't been playing Call of Duty that much lately." But but that was the thing a couple years ago where he got his new contract. The rumor was he was into Call of Duty so much that he wasn't preparing each week. But um, um, so while previous generations assumed they'd have to shine and spend plenty of time in the office to impress the boss, Gen Z has had a crash course in learning that life is short. But their lack of motivation or initiative is referenced as a problem by 50% of employers surveyed. Eh, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with that, but I'm not in the management side of things where I had to fire somebody because they were dope or a Gen Z or whatever. But you get the idea. But you know, it is what it is. Number two, lack of professionalism. Well, I'm not very professional either, but I still have my job for now. Uh, um, Considering many Gen Z employees had internships over Zoom, they may lack extensive real life office experience. this may not come as a surprise. Michigan State University is offering student classes on how to behave and even write a work appropriate email. I mean, it's kind of like, I mean, isn't that kind of like teaching people common sense? It's not possible. But I think when it comes to, um, how to behave in the office, I think I think in some ways you just learn on the fly. It isn't like, it isn't like you're just going there and, just all of a sudden burping and farting and cursing or whatever. A little common sense takes over, but the problem is there isn't much common sense in the United States. Um, but I think that a lot of this is, I mean, it's not untrue. Um, it's just that you need to offer a class on how to behave in the workplace. Come on, man. Um, Poor organizational skills is third. Roughly 45% of bosses say organization is a problem for Gen Z hires, likely because much of their time is spent on the phones. Believe it or not, the average Gen Zer spends 7.2 hours on their phones. Now, when I was getting the alerts every Sunday, I was at about 4. But I'm wondering, but this is a question that came up. I believe it was on President Steve. It might have been another podcast I was listening to. I also question how they time it because are you counting every time my phone lights up? Because m- I've said this to Mike many a times. I've had to put my phone on the side outside of outside of uh, within look within eye shot, so to speak. Earshot, eye shot. Get the idea. And I'm not making that as a joke. I'm just trying to say, I can't just look down and say and look and read that. Oh, the Eagles scored a touchdown. Oh, there's a touchdown on my TV screen. But um, you know, I just wonder if, especially Apple, because they do have that report, but I haven't gotten it in a while. Um, one Mississippi, two Mississippi. Yeah. So I'm just wondering, and I don't know any Apple techs, so I can't ask them since I have an iPhone. You know, is it reading the fact that an alert pops up on my screen? Is it counting when I'm listening to my podcast since I'm an avid podcast listener? You know, are you picking that up as well? Like, for example, if someone were to try to locate me on Snapchat, and first of all, feel free to stalk me. I don't give a shit. Uh, but seriously, I've noticed that when I pulled up that map, it will show me when I have a podcast or music playing, my avatar or icon or whatever the hell you call it, it'll have earphones over my character and it'll have the musical notes around my ears and stuff like that. So you do get that. But I'm just wondering how exactly do they get it? Because you know, it's like 4 hours, but like when I was going to work pre-pandemic, that 20-minute ride I had on the L from Market Frankfurt to from Bridge Street to 8th Street, I'd be playing the Yahtzee game I have on here, just catching up on things, and I'd be reading the news and I'd be also listening to my podcast at the same time, so I'm probably doubling up the time as well. But I don't think they really, I don't think there is a real way of knowing what exactly you're doing. Is it just time that your phone's unlocked? Is it the alerts coming up on your phone? And trust me, when Sundays come around, especially this time of the year, I got 6 fantasy football teams, and every time I get a big play, somebody's in the red zone or anything like that, I get an alert. Now, granted, could I turn the alerts off? Yeah, I'm just too lazy to figure that shit out. So, it'll just continue to go and go and go, and I'm just like, I don't care. I'll just clear that shit out later in the night. So, but it's also interesting to see, hey, so and so got a touchdown, you know, or Saquon Barkley got a touchdown. Let's say I wasn't an Eagles fan, but I have him on my fantasy team, and I don't have the Eagles game on. Oh, Saquon Barkley scored a touchdown. Great. Yeah, like for example, right now I have an alert here and put it in front of me like that. I have an alert there. Is that reading the time as well? That's a question I have. You don't have to answer it, if you're listening after the fact or whatever, but it is an interesting topic that, it's 7.2 hours, but how are you doing it? Is it actually somebody just sitting there and texting back and forth, which is the case with a lot of people? Or is it, because of, um, like in my case, it's just flashing on for a couple seconds, turning off, flashing on, flashing off, flash on, flash off, sand the floor, wax on, wax off, wax on, wax off. But so I could see that, but I'm just wondering how it's calculated. Uh, Poor communication skills, duh. Because if you're looking at your phone like this for 7 hours, Danielson. But seriously, you know, when you're looking like this all day, no shit, you're gonna have poor communication skills. Um, Gen Z workers admit, even Gen Z workers are admitting they're having a hard time drumming up conversations with coworkers. Now, granted, I have a hard time drumming up conversation from time to time, but you know, but when you work in an office, you do work up conversations with people from time to time. Sometimes you're the person that starts it, sometimes you don't. But then again, sometimes you have a nut job as your manager. Dawn, Michael know who I'm talking to, and I slipped the name in there if he caught it at Redacted Company, who's no longer there with the Redacted Company. Um, you know, you had to walk on eggshells because you never knew what mental state she was in first thing in the morning because she could be as nice as possible or she could be standoffish. She could just be, I don't know, whatever adjective or description you want to use, you know, just the way it is, I don't want to say schizophrenic because it wasn't that, but I don't even want to say multiple personality disorder because it wasn't that. It's just, just the mood or anything like that, but you get the idea. So poor communication skills, challenges with feedback. No one likes getting feedback if it's negative, and apparently Gen Z would prefer a different approach. Yeah, that's true. Instead of an annual performance review, they would like continuous feedback to stay in the moment and make changes quickly. Well, that's both good and bad. Um, uh, this might be more work for bosses, but 38% have found young workers have a problem with feedback, so it could solve their problem. Now, with me, I'm okay with feedback that's negative if I can use it to improve. Now, if it's negative feedback that isn't going to help me at all and you're disparaging me or whatever, then we have problems. But, but when I am open to constructive criticism. I don't even call it feedback. I call it constructive criticism. And, and I don't necessarily need a pat on the back because a pat on the back is 6 inches away from a kick in the ass. But if you're female and you want to tap me on the butt, go right ahead because maybe I can you let me tap you on the butt too. Uh, but I can see that. Um, Lack of relevant work experience. 40% of managers complained Gen Z workers didn't have relevant work experience. That seems like an easy fix once someone is doing the job they're asking them to do. And if they're first, and this is their first job post college, what are you expecting? I mean, the one thing is, they think that, oh, you got a degree, you got a degree, I should get a job. Well, the one thing that I've said for years is, and I go with what I said, and I've even used this on Sunday when I was talking to a couple of guys that were there that graduated with me. Um, I said that, I graduated with sport management degree, a master's. Michael say I'm a master debater. Uh, but the one thing I will say is when I look at everything, I knew that I had to get something on my resume. And Mike would say that I'm a master debater. Uh, but, I knew that I needed to get something on the resume because even when I um, went on that trip to Arizona a couple years ago for the Major League Baseball Diversity Summit or whatever they called it, the one thing is, um, I did have an impromptu interview, and they said, "Yeah, you do need some things on there, and and even if we did hire you, you'd have to start at the very bottom, and you got to work your way up." But I think that in a lot of ways, and we can even go into, let's say they play sports, and this is where we're turning this into a sports thing, even though the topic isn't completely sports. I can give some sports thoughts with this, and we know we know for a fact that we are in a participation trophy world where I finish in 13th place. My team finishes in 13th out of 13 teams. We stunk up the joint, but I still want my trophy, even if it's yay big, 3 inches. I still want my trophy. Good job, Johnny. You didn't do shit, but here's your trophy anyway. See, there's always something at the end. Now, granted, back in the day, if you really think about it, when I played Little League, our participation trophy every week was a soda and a pretzel, but you know, but not nothing like this trophy. And I'm just using my TV remote as example. You know, look at this award I got. It's not. It's I mean, me in the '80s, that wasn't the same thing. But you get this little trophy. It's like, hey, we finished 13th place. So just don't mention that you were 13 out of 13. But you get the idea. It's like, I want more than just this. So I can see why, if you think about it in terms of um, relevant work experience and stuff like that, I can see that. Poor problem solving skills is number 7. Blame the internet. With answers to most everything just a click away, Gen Z is used to getting info without deep thought, which leads to not developing in depth analytical skills. Believe it or not, tech is likely rewiring the brains of Gen Z and not in a good way. No shit. Because, you know, I mean, and I'm guilty of certain things, like for example, oh, how do I do this? Even I will do that, you know, but, um, but I'm like, well, does this work? But a lot of times you got to think for yourself. It's like Mike says, it's like you're not allowed to teach kids; they will not always succeed. Yeah, I mean the thing is, um, you know, and I think that the NCAA things that they had a couple years ago, only 2% of student athletes make it as a professional sports athlete. That's why we go to school, but it was some bullshit that was filled in there. But the truth is, You don't normally do the job you want to do. I know I'm not doing the job I wanted to do. I wanted to be a teacher when I was in college. I wanted to be a baseball player as a kid. Didn't do any of that shit. But you know what? The one thing you learn as you mature is if one road doesn't work, if option A doesn't work, then you go to option B, then you go to option C. I'm on option 679 probably. And I'm okay with that because, sometimes you have to grind. And it just seems like Gen Z does not want to grind. But thankfully, I'm not in the management side, so I don't have to hire, fire, or criticize them or see them cry because I hurt their feelings because I told them the truth that they need to do better in their job. But I just think that a lot of it is expecting everything to be all hunky dory and, everything handed to them and shit like that, which is not the case. Nothing comes easy. You know, Dennis Miller said it best in one of his comedy specials. Life sucks, wear a cup. Plain simple. Life sucks, wear a cup. And, that's just the way things are here. Um, Now, here's one where you're going to say, huh? And I saw when I read this, they have insufficient technical skills. It's hard to believe a generation that grew up playing computer games and typing away on social media wouldn't be up to snuff in this category. But it turns out Excel isn't like Mario Kart. A London school is actually instituting a 12-hour day to get students up to speed on workplace norms, and phones are not allowed. Yeah, well, basically what it is they don't know how to make a spreadsheet. They don't know how to do a Microsoft Word file, technical things like that. Like I was joking around last night when Mike was here, and I even changed my name to Tech Support Amateur because I have to have fun uh, with deprecating humor. And by the way, the one time I said deprecating humor, my mom thought I said defecating. Well, defecating is funny if you carpet bomb the bathroom and don't spray and somebody walks in afterwards, but you know, but when you're walking in after somebody else forgot to spray, it's not fun. But no, but deprecating humor, you make fun of yourself, and that's something that I'd like to do. And I just think that um, they don't know anything, and and the one thing is with me, I can help with tech support to a certain extent, but when it comes to tech support within the work, on a computer, if I'm doing remote help with you, I'm fucked. But if I'm there in person, I'm like, well, let me try this. Well, let me try this. Well, let me Google this and let me try this with this and go like that. And, sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't, but I'm going to try to figure it out for you. But like a couple of weeks ago, we had a problem with Frank's sound on his computer because he couldn't hear me. I could hear him, but he couldn't hear me for whatever reason. We eventually had to cancel that also eligible because it just got to the point where it's like 11 o'clock. By the time I got done, it was like 12:15, and probably a couple of races had gone off. So, but like I told Frank and I told AJ what happened because AJ knows that I love doing that also eligible show because it is it is one of my babies. This is another one of my babies. Just having fun here and talking sports and even this off sports topic, which I'm twisting sports into it every once in a while. You know, and the articles which you know I guarantee you a Gen Z person would never come up with because when I was I mean, but not all Gen Zs are the same because we do have Gen Z people who do have the initiative are willing to work their asses off like they do here at Bleacher Brothers. So, not all Gen Zs are bad. It's just in terms of certain jobs and everything, yeah, that's going to happen. I mean, is it the exception, not the rule, that Gen Z are these 14 things. No, I think it is the case. It's just that you get into a stereotype, you got to be careful because not everybody's going to be like that. You are going to get Gen Z uh, workers, that generation who actually know how to do an Excel file, know how to do this, have the initiative, can take criticism. There are people that are going to do it, and their parents bring them up right. It's just that more times than not, they get their panties in a bunch and they quit because, oh, I'm not making the money I thought I would make. I'm not doing this. Well, you're getting your expectations up too high. You don't realize that you have to work your way up instead of just going right to the top. You know, there are exceptions to the rule where sometimes you do make it to the top quicker, but sometimes you got to grind. And a lot of people in Gen Z apparently do not want to grind. Well, they do want to grind, but they want somebody grinding against them at the strip club. But we won't get into that. Number nine, a bad culture fit. This sounds like a euphemism for get this jerk out the door. But the good news is, once Gen Z improves their communication skills, they might be pivotal in building a workplace that's more inclusive and diverse. And we have been getting more inclusive and diverse. We may be taking a million steps backwards if you see all the political ads right now. And I'd be so glad when Tuesday, November 5th comes around and we don't have to see I'm so and so and I approve this message. Well, I approve that we will not have to see a political ad on my TV or hear it on my radio for the next few months. Thank God. Hallelujah. Holy shit. Pass the Tylenol. And I will also enjoy not having to deal with text messages 3 4 times a day. And it's ironic because I actually commented to Jason Bean today that he said that he had a message. Oh, I get them 3 4 times a day. But um, number 10, they cannot work as a team. Well, the one thing is with sports, little league, whatever you want to call it, baseball, football, basketball, depending on what league you call it. You're playing you're playing a game, but the the one thing that a lot of kids don't realize as we're bringing sports into this, the one thing kids don't realize is you're learning to win with dignity. You're learning that it's okay to lose, it's okay to fail. Like baseball, it's okay to fail by not getting a base hit 7 out of 10 times. Well, granted, in little league, you get a higher batting average because there's less at bats and everything like that. But you get the idea because you're not going to get a base hit every time. You're not going to get on base every time. You're going to swing and miss a strike three. You're going to look at a strike three from time to time, and it's okay. Now, granted, you may say you might get a little bit of grief from the coach, but you know it's all part of the learning process because the way sports is, it's more than just playing the game. The underlying lessons are working as a team, playing as a team, winning as a team, losing as a team, winning with dignity, losing with class, all that stuff. It's more than just, oh, I hit 3 home runs. Well, what the team do? Oh, I hit 3 home runs, but we lost 14-3. Well, that's kind of productive if you ask me, because you're the only one doing the work. But you get the idea there. But Gen Z is known for preferring to work independently, but wanting constant guidance in a work balance life that older employees may feel come with time spent on the job. So their team building skills often fall short. This might be the time for workplaces to create mentorships, in part to take pressure off of bosses who are frustrated with their Gen Z workers. Well, guess what? If you communicate with others, then you can say, "Hey, I'm having this issue. What can I do?" It go. I mean, that works into a couple of the other things we've mentioned so far. You're not communicative. You're looking at your phone like this all day, and I'm guilty of it too, but not 7 hours a day. But you get the idea. And I was, if you go 4 for 4 and I go 0 and 4 and we win, that's all that matters. Yeah, there's no I in team, but there is me, and without me, there is no team. Well, it's just there's no I in team, but I add that extra part there, even though it's not me together. The M is there, the E is there, but I do say it like that because if you if you can joke around and you can joke around within your team and they are okay with the jokes and something and not to cross certain lines, and when you get older even more not to cross certain lines, but you you learn as a car goes by, because I had the windows open. I feel a nice breeze coming in right now. You do have, I mean, because you're learning so much in sports more than just hit a baseball, catch a baseball, throw a baseball. It's winning as a team, it's losing as a team. It's so many different things more than just baseball in your formative childhood years. Um, Number 11, they're entitled. While it seems hard to say anyone whose developmental years have happened during the pandemic is entitled, can we get over the fact that can we say it's more than just that 2, 3, 4 year period? Chances are Gen Z grew up with an overly involved helicopter parents too. Bosses see this generation as expecting high pay and promotions too early, bingo, and putting work life balance above the workplace, which doesn't win any fans. Now, here's the one thing that I will say, you know, and unfortunately, and I'm not saying this because, I lean left, but, just like everything I say is, you got to have the varieties the spice of life. You're not going to agree with everything that the liberals are going to say if you're liberal. You're not going to agree with every single thing a conservative says. You know, Sometimes you got to go into that middle area. And I try to stay in that middle area for the most part because, first of all, I don't want to listen to everybody's bullshit because there's people on the left that I'm just like, oh, shut the fuck up. Like, for example, AOC, hot as hell. But when she opens her mouth, I want to get duct tape and, and shut her mouth up. Um, you know, and there's some conservatives that I will listen. Like, they kind of make sense a little bit, but but then you get the more harder conservatives, and it's like, shut the fuck up. And it's both sides that I want to say shut the fuck up to. I may lean left a little bit, but I will gladly say shut the fuck up to both sides of the aisle. I don't care. But but to get to my point here, um, the one thing is Barry Sanders, Jesus Christ, Bernie Sanders. All right, let me give myself one of those for saying that, for calling him. Do I have it on here? There it is. As I was trying to say, Bernie Sanders, um, he's in favor of the 32-hour work week. Now, would I like a 4-day work week? Yes, but I don't want to work 32 hours. Maybe it's because I'm Gen X. I don't know. But the one thing I will tell you is, when you think about it, if you're giving away 8 hours, and especially if you're not in a union environment, guess what? I mean, you can put all the protections in there you want. You go to a new job, you're only going to get paid for 32 hours. You're not getting paid for that 40. And you could say, well, the rate of pay is $3 higher, but okay, but $15 at 40 hours versus 32 hours at 17 or whatever. You're still making less money with that higher rate per hour, possibly. But the one thing I would say is if you're going to give me the option of working 4 days, now, not everybody is like this. And with the job that I currently have, I don't think I can deal with screaming from all these idiots an extra 2 hours a day. But I think that I can suck it up so I can have a 3 days off a week. Now, granted, with a job like I have where we do work Saturdays and Sundays from time to time, you do have that third, you will have that third day off. And the way that I am for the most part, I prefer, you know, when I have the work weeks and the way I usually do it in November, I'm getting back into the Wednesday off when I have to work the Saturday, when I force myself to work that Saturday so then I work that Sunday. I try to make sure that I don't have to work more than 5 days in a row if I have to. Now, next week, well, starting this Saturday, I will start 6 days in a row, but it'll be 5 days next week and then the one day this week that adds into the six. So it's not like I'm working overtime or anything like that. But I would rather work 4 10-hour days and make sure I get my 40 hours a week as opposed to 4 times 8 32, where if they really want to, they can take money away from me and lose and throw away money that I could be earning working a 4-hour work week. But it's all entitlements. It's all I want this and blah blah blah. I don't. The work life balance. I understand. It's just sometimes you have to realize you have to sacrifice some things. You have to realize that you know I can't go. I can't go to the bar tonight because I have to get up early. Sometimes you just have to realize that you're 24, 25, 26, whatever the Gen Z range is right now. You have to realize that, I can't do this tonight. Uh, I need to I need to go to bed earlier. Should be on with me on twitch.tv/Joe Quills, or whatever. But there we go. For whatever reason, things went a little goofy there, but we're back here, I believe. Yeah. So, but the one thing I will tell you is being entitled like that, they're not looking at the whole picture. They're just looking at themselves. And we are a me first society, which really sucks ass because, you know, we used to be a group that works together. Now it's all me first and all that. And at least my opinion. Um, Number 12, they're often late to work. Well, gee, if you weren't playing Call of Duty to 4 o'clock in the morning or 2K NBA 2K25 or whatever the latest game is or anything like that. But about 20% of managers say Gen Z workers are often late to work, and no one wants someone rolling into the office well after the workday has started. Short of reminding tardy workers how to set the alarm function on their phones, which they already know, you can see why so many bosses are reluctant to hire Gen Z next year. But I have a hard time getting up in the morning. But you know what? You know what I do to make sure that even me as a Gen Z, knowing that I have a hard time getting up in the morning, you know what I do? I set one alarm, two alarms, three alarms, four alarms. And there was one day I was late for work. So I had two emergency alarms. So I have six alarms that go off. And, you know, you may say, is that a little overkill? But I want to make sure I make every cent that I have that I can get. So yeah, I am going to create that cacophony of sound with all the alarms going off at 10, 15-minute intervals because I want to make sure I get to work on time. But I think in some regards, what they're saying here is a lot of Gen Z probably says, oh, fuck it, I'll just start work at 11. Well, that's not how it works in the workforce. And, if unless you have a job that allows you to do flexibility like that, you're going to be late. And I know one thing that got me, that got somebody cursing at me because I said this because um, there were layoffs on, not sure if it was, I think it was Bees. Oh, you know what was Andre Gardner of WMGK got laid off last week. And I made a comment that they should have laid off Pierre Robert because he's hasn't been on time in 40 years. And he said, "Don't you dare use his name in vain," or some shit like that. I'm like, dude, let's look at facts here. Preston and Steve go to 10:30, 11 o'clock because they're covering his ass every day because Pierre Robert's out till 4 o'clock in the morning doing whatever, you know, acting like he's 20 when he's near 70, and and shit. Even there was that one night where SJ, I made sure she got home from that WNBA finals game. I stayed up till almost 4 o'clock in the morning, but you know what? I made sure she got home okay. But you know what? I had those 18 alarms set because I made sure that I got up the next morning because I am making sure that one, a dear friend gets home without getting mugged in the mean streets of whatever town it was. Um, and she got back to her sister's house at 4 o'clock. And I heard some of the stories. I'm not going to tell some of the things that she was saying on there in Discord before I started. But, you, sometimes you just need to realize uh, that, and Mike's ruining my reputation. Joe's a good dude. No, I'm an evil prick. Uh, don't forget that. Uh, well, I'm an evil prick most of the time, but but if you're a cute female, you soften that stance on me. But anyways, and she's great, very grateful for me. I don't know why, but she is. And you have to understand my sense of humor as well, because if you're watching this for the first time and you're hearing me say things like that, you have to understand my sense of humor. It's very dry, and it's very deprecating, and you just have to get used to. My alter ego is Richard Cranium, and that may be a topic for me and SJ privately one night, tonight, tomorrow night, next week. But it actually stems it actually stems from me watching Australian racing one night in the early 2000s. Um, there was actually an Australian racehorse named Richard Cranium. He didn't win, but but you won't. You can't name a horse Richard Cranium in the United States because you got to go to the jockey club. They got to approve the name. There was a name of the horse called So Fucking Fast. It was SOFACANFAST. I think that's how it was spelled. But because it sounded too close to so fucking fast, they scratched the horse, and Jockey Club said, "You got to rename that horse in order to run him again." So, um, but anyways, we're talking about Gen Z right now, and why Gen Z workers get fired. Yeah, I didn't have much to talk about tonight, but I am twisting sports into what they're doing here as well. So, um, number 13, they dress unprofessionally. Well, I'm Gen X, and well, at least with me working at home, if I want to work bare chested and in my underwear or totally naked, even though that's a scary thought. Even SJ has gone to the bathroom to throw up right now at that thought. I can do that. But because I'm in an apartment, even, I have to make sure I have at least a t shirt and shorts on and look somewhat presentable in terms of that because I never know when somebody's going to knock on my door, whether it's maintenance or anybody else, or I had that break in like I did when I was on the free for all show a couple years ago. Um, you never know. But the one thing I will tell you is, I mean, some workplaces you can get away with it, and I was able to get away with it because at redacted company there is a dress code, finger quotes. But they said, oh, you're supposed to have a collared shirt on, you're supposed to have pants on, you're supposed to have this. But the thing is, one person's wearing a hat all the time, but I'm not wearing a hat in the office because I'm pretending to be professional, even though I got a gritty shirt that says "No one likes me, I don't care," and that was when I was feuding with one of the coworkers because they were giving me a bunch of shit about transferring calls. But the way I interpreted the way you're supposed to transfer calls versus what she interpreted is a totally different thing. So, but, I would wear T-shirts. I wouldn't wear. We weren't allowed to wear jerseys, obviously, but I would occasionally wear a Philly shirt. I would occasionally wear this shirt. But you know, you have to know your workplace and what you can get away with and what you can't. But in the case of Gen Z, I can imagine that they're showing up in t-shirts and shorts, which in many cases is no-nos. Uh, they say on this article here, this seems like an easy fix if a boss just says something like sweatpants or workplace no, but it requires a difficult conversation, which can also result in a call to HR. Roughly 90% of bosses felt it was a problem. It suggests no one should buy their work clothes through the TikTok shop unless they work from home. Now, like you have to get a pulse of the workplace, and like for example, I would still be wearing my collared shirt with my jeans because you were allowed to wear jeans, you know, but I noticed everybody's wearing t-shirts and nobody's doing shit about it. So, I would wear t-shirts like this, nothing insensitive or anything like that. But you do have like for example, the Penny Pack logo. And by the way, I can't wait for that new season next year. Hopefully we'll get the schedule in a couple of months. Uh, you know, and I'm sure SJ will be like, I ain't going to that. Get the hell out of here. I'm not going 3, 4, 5 hours to first of all listen to cover bands, but also have to deal with your bullshit all night. No, no way, no chance in hell. But um, and the final point here. And by the way, this was an article that was on AOL that they got from this site called Cheapism. So the final thing is Gen Z cannot manage the workload. Gen Z workers might feel overwhelmed by what their bosses expect from them, and more than one-fifth of hiring managers say recent college grads can't manage the workload. But I think with a lot of that, everything works hand in hand with here with everything that they mentioned, and and even with sports, I'm sure not everybody played sports, but like the ones that play sports, you learn even if it's not intentional, you work as a team, even though you may be hitting a baseball or shooting a basketball, you work as a team, even though you do have individualized stats and stuff like that. So, you may be looking like at the end result that you're winning, but you are learning, especially in those young formative years, how to get along with others in the field, on the field, or on the basketball court, or on the ice. But you learn that, and it's more than just the end result of a win or loss. You learn so many things that you don't realize you're learning until you get into the workplace, and you got to question a lot of things there. So, but I thought it was an interesting article. Um, it killed a lot of time here tonight, and I was expecting a short show. We're already an hour and 40 into the show, and SJ hasn't tried to. get in her car, start driving down here, and wring my neck or anything like that, which is a good thing. But I think she's tired uh, from Game 5. Uh, I do know that uh, she was at that game, and like she said, um, she didn't get back to her sisters until 4 a.m. after that game because probably drinky made her drunky. Uh, very. And SJ was supposed to go to a FanDuel event tonight, but hey, Thursday is 12 hours. What's Thursday? Besides the day after Wednesday, that is. If you want to tell me privately, you can do that. Oh, never mind. You don't have to respond. Don't have to respond. I know what that is. You don't have to respond. If you're starting to type, you can delete it. It's the victory parade and everything else, and you know. See, I do keep track of things, whether it's you posting stuff or other people posting things and stuff like that. It's just that sometimes when you say something like this, Thursday is 12 hours, I'm like, huh? So, so I know that I will have to watch the chat myself because somebody will be drinky and drunky and pass outy or something like that. But um, so anyway, we do have one other thing here. Um, and I did see here that um, Tampa Bay, they're in trouble. Uh, this, you know, we picked a lot of people picked the Falcons to win the division this year, and they may win by 4 or 5 games now because New Orleans hasn't done shit since they started off 2-0. Thank your team, your town, your Philadelphia Eagles for that because we exposed them. And then maybe you look at different things here, but also New Orleans had a ton of injuries to their key players. Tampa Bay now has it. Um, Chris Godwin will undergo surgery for his dislocated left ankle, which occurred at the end of the game, which sucks because probably should have been out of the game. Um, he's likely done for the year, according to Todd Bowles. There's a chance if we make a late playoff run, he'll be back. You're not making a playoff run, trust me. He said uh, there was some additional structural damage to the ankle, which tells me he's done. He's not coming back, even if they make it to the Super Bowl somehow. But that's just me. Mike Evans, the Bucks' other star receiver and franchise leading scorer. Believe it or not, it's not a kicker that's the leading scorer for the Bucks. He suffered what Bowles described as a moderate hamstring strain, which will sideline him a couple of weeks. So they project him out until after the bye week in week 11. So that's more than a couple of weeks, but I'm not gonna question the verbiage, but I get what Todd Bowles is saying. So he's going to miss the Falcons game this week, the Chiefs in week 9, and the Niners in week 10. So not only you not only are you missing him and Godwin for those 3 games, just those 3 games. They're 3 games against normally tough opponents too. So and Bleacher Brothers is here. New dress code, Joe. No t-shirts allowed. Suit and ties beginning tomorrow night. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to break out my gritty shirt. No one likes me. I don't care. I'm guessing that's AJ there. Uh, and if it isn't AJ, I'm sure it's somebody else that has access to the Bleacher Brothers YouTube. Because I'm on the Bleacher Brothers YouTube. I'm on my YouTube. Uh, breaks out the Dumb and Dumber tux. Actually, you know what I need? I need one. Uh, now It is AJ. Okay. Now, um, now I did have interaction with um, I did have interaction with Jessica Paquette tonight on Instagram. By the way, she posted that she was going to see Rocky Horror Picture Show, and I said, "Don't block me when I say this, but I've never seen that." And I go joking around, ducks, uh, I did comment to something. She said she was seeing Rocky Horror Picture Show. I said I've never seen it, but what I need to do, and I haven't seen Dumb and Dumber completely either, probably because it would make me dumber and dumber too. But oh, it's not the same thing. Okay, I'm just thinking the scene, even though I haven't seen the whole movie. What I need to get is a tuxedo T-shirt. That's what I need to get. That's what I need. Because if I do that, then I can comply with this new dress code, which I know is a joke, but I just don't have it. So I do have $20 on my Amazon. Maybe I can find that. Or maybe I wear my Tiger Woods t-shirt tomorrow. The thoughts that are going in my head right now, and thankfully nobody, it's kind of like a duck where you see them swimming on the pond or the lake or whatever, and you see the calm side on top of the water, but underneath the legs are going a million miles an hour. Um, oh boy, just watch the Chef Tom Golf show. If you've seen Tea Time, you've seen Dumb and Dumber. That is true. But it is a fun thing, and the open that they have is the best open because they actually show golfers you know, w- crashing their carts into the lake or into the sand trap or into a tree, guys flying through the windshield, all this crazy stuff. And and then they get to the golfing and they do get to points. And I also did hit a golf wager. I don't know if it was the US Open or the PGA Championship. Now I played it a little bit differently, but I did win. Um, they were really high on Bryson DeChambeau, and I took Juice Boy there because I still think he's on the roids. Um, I said there was a prop on whatever app I was using. It was the best live golfer, and I put Bryson DeChambeau for however many dollars, probably 25. That's my usual unit, and I end up winning 150, 175, whatever it was. Boom. So But, uh, but I will tell you right now, if you want someone to blame for that Wrexham bet today, blame me because I tailed you. So sorry. And because I am taking blame for it. One, but it is what it is. I don't care. Um, but yeah, so Tampa Bay has all these injuries at the worst time of their schedule, and Evans entered the game with a hamstring strain, missing practices Thursday and Friday. But he carried no injury designation into the game. So he had a 24-yard sprint into the end zone on the go route, but he suffered the injury to a different portion of the hamstring. He fell to the grass and immediately grabbed the back of his leg. So, um, but in regards to the Godwin injury, Adam Schefter reported the league is reviewing the play to determine whether it contained all the elements of hip drop tackle, which was made off season and could result in a fine. So, so Tampa Bay is in trouble, and like AJ said, you can't win them all. But if you want to blame me, go right ahead. Now, and the one thing is, if you wanted to bet Wrexham or you want to play anything that is on Bleacher Bet, you can head right on over to Rebet. And I am going to pull up my email here for a second for a reason because, like I always do, I am never prepared. You can tell I was not a Boy Scout. Well, you can also tell I'm not a Boy Scout because my farts are really loud. Uh, that's a joke, by the way. It's a bad joke, but there's the link, everybody. Um, so with Rebate, you get a $100 deposit match up to $100, and you can follow me, you can follow AJ, you can follow Toby, you can follow Bleacher Bet. Everybody is on there, or we think everybody's on there, and you can get a 100% deposit match up to $100 if you use that link. Use the code Bleacher Brothers. Also, let me know if you're going to sign up tonight. Let me know. We'll send the information to AJ. Also, we are helping out with the Dinosaur Bike Tour. They have a toy drive going on right now, and we're helping them out with that to make sure kids have a Merry Christmas. So, some of the features that they have, it's a social sports book, and also you can bet head to head. And I'm going to go back to me for a second because I say this every time I promote Rebet here. Let's say I grow a pair and I want to say that, AJ, your bet is going to lose. Well, we can make like trading places. And if you remember on trading places, they had a gentleman's wager of $1. I should have it this way instead. They had a gentleman's wager of $1. Well, you can have a gentleman's wager of $1. I think you might have to make a minimum that's not $1, but whatever that minimum is, you can go head to head. Rebet will facilitate that bet, and they don't make any they don't take a cut out of it. But at the end of the game, let's say I'm right, I get AJ's money on top of mine that I put in. Or if I'm wrong, like I always seem to be, because my horse racing picks have been total shit, except for yesterday when my horse won by a football field. You know, AJ would win the money. So, and if it's a draw, then it's like kissing B. Arthur. But but this is a fun app. It is 18 and over. Must be in a state where it's legal. Um, Also, if you have a gambling problem, 1-800-GAMBLER. And I will always tell you, bet within your means and everything like that. And, you know, give it a try. Um, it's a fun app. And you can make fun of my bad picks because trust me, I've had a lot of them lately. Also on the rebet as well as my horses. But, you know, it is a fun sports book, and it's interactive. It's very social, and just don't let too many Gen Z people, because they're on their phone 7 hours a day. Well, they'll be on their phone 9.5 hours a day if they are a sports fan. But seriously, check it out. In the chat, you do have the link, and give it a try. It's a fun site, and hey, maybe you can win some money. And also, if you put the money in, and let's say you crap out, don't worry. You still have those coins that you can wager as well. So let's say, let's say you're in a position like I am, where at the beginning of the month it's rent week, but you got an itching. Well, first of all, you might want to get some lotion for that itching, but you get the idea. Let's say you want to play that football game on Sunday. You want to play that Eagles Jaguars game on November 3rd that got flexed to 4:05 into that bridge game where nobody's going to watch that game outside of Philadelphia, and you know that. I mean, we're probably going to get Dick Stockton come back from the dead to call that game, even though the game's on CBS. They're going to hire him for one game just to annoy the living hell out of me. But you will have that opportunity where you still want to see if you're still sharp as a tack, or you're still in that bad luck zone that I'm in from time to time. Well, guess what? You don't have to bet your real money. You can bet those coins, and I've hit some big winners on with the coins. I mean, I think I had like a 500 coin wager and I won, or a 250 wager and I won. So, but But even with the coins, bet within your means. So, and once again, 1-800 gambler if you have a gambling problem. I keep saying rebet.com, but it's not rebet.com. But check out the app. The link is in the chat. Check it out and let us know if you signed up. We will get you squared away, and we'll help out the kids of Ocean County, New Jersey, where AJ spent his formative years. Also, Saturday is also eligible at 10 a.m. with yours truly. Sometimes it's AJ, sometimes it's Frank, sometimes it's just me. Last couple of weeks, we've been doing races from Keeneland. It looks like Keeneland will be the track again this Saturday. I will finalize that on Thursday, but um, AJ is in on Saturday, so it'll be me and AJ. So it'll be expect a couple of picks and also a lot of juvenile behavior and comments. So and you know we'll uh, we'll be talking probably Keeneland. It's Keeneland's closing day, so it'll be the last that we talk Keeneland until next April, and we'll see if we can get some winners. AJ's been getting more winners than me, but hey, it happens. But I'm in the ballpark. It's just that AJ gets the roses and I get the $5 return from um, the win insurance that FanDuel has on there, and we like to coincide with the FanDuel win insurance because that way, if we do have win insurance, we do get some money back. So, but I do want to show you one thing here before we call it a night here. And I know I'm at 2 hours here, and I should be practicing to finish up in about an hour and 54 because of the Bleacher Brothers Sports Network coming up soon. Um, I am going to share my screen here because I can. Um, get rid of that. Um, there we go. Forgive me. It's 11 o'clock here on the Coast. My brain is fried. Um, we go here and here. Whoops. Let me go in the right tab here, you numbnuts. There we go. So we add the scene here. So that's the main page of Bleacher Brothers when you first get on here. Now, if you go to the betting portion right there, you'll see all different things here. You'll see the different articles here. You'll see the different promotions here. And if you really want to see what these promotions are, um, where is it exactly? You can go to promos here on the drop down. And you will see the different offers here. Like Caesars has a bonus, FanDuel has one, BetMGM, DraftKings, Bet365, Rebet, Fanatics. Now we prefer Rebet because uh, that's our main one right now. But everybody has a promotion. You can claim the bonus, fill everything out, and take advantage of these offers that get you in the door here. But uh, you do have to be a new sign up in order to get the promotions there. And we have all kinds of great features on the website as well. And also, I will remind you as well. Not only that, we do have other promotions on there. Like for example, Better. It's not available in Pennsylvania, but you may be in a state that allows it. Take advantage of it. Um, there's the Rebet app. Now, granted, it may not be a Philly City Connect jersey you want, but maybe you want a New York Yankees jersey because they're in the World Series, or you may want to get the one with the World Series patch. Well, even though it's the Philly City Connect jersey, I'm sure you can finagle your way around and use that link to get a promotion there. NFL Fan Gear with Fanatics, you can use that as well. So we have more than just voting. We have more than just um, betting apps there that you can take advantage of. Take advantage of all the promotions there at Bleacher Brothers. And also, even though I did not win today, take advantage of Quills Picks winners as well, because I will tell you who will win, even though it wasn't today. I did have a winner yesterday. Freedom Dreams never got the lead, and I ended up cursing at my TV because the horse ended up a 25 to one shot won by 25 lengths or something like that. But that's what happens from time to time. So, um, and and AJ is a Yankees fan. Now, granted, he's a Yankees slash Phillies fan. He's more Yankees, but he does root for the Phillies too. Um, Now, I don't know if this is directed to me, but Yankees or Dodgers. I did say last night on the show that I was going to release my pick on Thursday night. So I am making you wait till Thursday, SJ. And you can come down here. You can even say that you're going to do certain things which we cannot say in public, which I know you won't say anyway, but you can tease the shit out of me. Um, but seriously, um, I am not giving out my pick till Thursday because Thursday is when I give out my Philly fade picks. And last week, I think I went 3-4. I have to look because the one thing I do, part of it is to indirectly promote my show. I like to post my picks there because I can go back and when I'm sitting here late at night, I'm done writing the article. It's like, oh yeah, I didn't update that Excel file. Let me go back in there. Boom, 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 done. So, but I think I went 3-4 last week, or I might be confusing from the week before. But I think it was 3-4 because I went 1-2 college and 2-2 pro, and um, uh, and Saquon's humility killed that opportunity to hit that $10 wager for Saquon to have 2 touchdowns, boosted from 375 to 550. But it is what it is. So that is going to be it for the Tuesday night show. Thank you, AJ, hiding in Bleacher Brothers' name, SJ, Mike, everybody who is watching on my YouTube, the Bleacher Brothers YouTube, and X who are lurking around there because, some people like to lurk, some like to watch. And yeah, I do have to cut down so we can get this in an hour and 54 or something like that for when the BBSN comes out soon. So, and I will be on there 4 nights a week. Now, take note, tomorrow we will be on at 10 p.m. So we start an hour later. AJ, I believe he will be on tomorrow. Uh, huh? The what? What are you saying, SJ? So AJ is on tomorrow at 7 o'clock. So follow on. I know you're gonna have to tell me in your Discord chat when the show's over if you're still on there. But check out Bleacher Brothers on their Bleacher Brothers page, on Bleacher Brothers Twitch. By the way, AJ, I did make myself a mod on there, so if anybody ends up spamming in there, I can get rid of it. Actually, I went from mod to a chat participant last Tuesday on the college football show. They were having problems picking up what college teams. I ended up helping them out accidentally. Well, they were looking for participation, but I was trying not to participate too much because it was their activity. I was just trying to sit, but I did make myself a mod. So if anybody starts their crap, but um, there we go. So the Bleacher Brothers show from 7 to 9. Bleacher Brothers show, the World Series preview, English Premier League soccer. We have a guy that talks soccer. Luch on Ice, and SJ, just to let you know, we do have our Luch as well. So you got your Luch with Bullet's Life. We have our Luch with Bleacher Brothers. So I've mentioned that a few times, but we have two different luchas here, even though they both go by luch. Battle of the Beach tournament with the FAU hockey team, and and I will be trying to disrupt the show with my crude jokes as well. Um, and I will be on at 10 o'clock tomorrow because I've being the team player that I am. The golf show comes on Wednesday night at 9, and then I follow at 10, which is no problem for me because I'm probably going to be up till 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning anyway. But so it's on the Bleacher Brothers YouTube, Twitch, Facebook. I think we're doing smoke signals this week. I think we're streaming onto Peyton Manning's forehead as well, and so much more. So, and I'll get you all the links as well if you're interested. So, if you want to watch the Bleacher Brothers show at 7 o'clock tomorrow, I'll be watching the first half hour while I work. X, yeah, yeah, I forgot about that. Uh, and and if we forgot anything else, then we'll let you know tomorrow. So, and also, if you get uh, that goalie from FAU on the show, AJ, I know I should be saying this off air, but if you get the goalie on there, um, I think isn't the goalie's name Bruno as well? Even though we have a love hate relationship with some Brunos, but um, if you get the goalie on the show, let me know. If you get that if you get that goalie on the show, let me know because I am in touch with um one of my former teachers at the prep, and he's always promoting everything prep alums and current students and everything else. I guarantee you that if I tell him he's going to be on the show, I guarantee you we can get a shit ton of hits from people from the prep. So Rocco Bruno. Well, text me if you definitely have him on the show. I may tag my former teacher, and that will get him on the show. Um, so if you can confirm tomorrow, let me know. I'll try to get him. I'll try to let my former teacher know because he does share a lot of prep related stuff, and he did go to the prep from what I had seen. So as I go on rambling here because we're 2 hours and 10 minutes now, I do want to thank everybody for joining me tonight, and um, and AJ will let me know as soon as possible because we you know there's a thing called prep pride that AJ wouldn't understand. Uh, well, he kind of does because I talk about DeAndre Swift, Olamide Zacchaeus, and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. I haven't really talked much about, but all the guys who went through the prep that ended up in the NFL. But anyways, let me get off of here because I'm going to talk all night. Next thing you know, it'll be a 6-hour show. But I should learn to. I'm being critical of myself here, which I can do. I need to cut it down to about an hour 54. But anyways, thank you so much for joining me. We'll do it live tomorrow at 10 p.m. and we'll go from there. So have a great night, everybody. Catch you guys in about 23 hours. Good night, everybody.